Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This video is a little bit different. It has one video of about 6 minutes, and it has another video that I will not play. I will just refer you to watch, and from then we're gonna go on and on. Now, the video that I will play here has to do with a courageous, principled woman, and that is a former Austrian foreign minister. If you remember, this woman had Putin land with a helicopter at her wedding in Austria. Remember that one? Well, they're gonna feature it in the video I will show you. So Putin went over there, danced with her a little bit, and left the building like Elvis. Obviously, that's a no-no. And we have a weasel. His name is Steve Rosenberg. And he was the BBC correspondent in Moscow. I don't know if he still is or not. He interviewed Sergei Lavrov a few times. He asked Putin a few questions from time to time. I watched them all. So I know he's a weasel, on top of being Rosenberg. So I have here an interview between this lady who describes Putin as, and I'm quoting, most intelligent gentleman she ever met. Of course, Rosenberg could not have that. So he's going to try to attack her badly, but she's going to smack him because this is the problem. These guys, Rosenbergs and Zelensky Steins, they try to shame you morally, disarm you somehow morally. They are the arbiters of morality somehow. We even have Moses in the Supreme Court on over there, a mural inside the building. And Moses just read about what he did with some people in the Old Testament. Anyway, but he was a just war. He came with the 10 Commandments and all that. All right, so let's go back to this one. I will show you. I will from time to time probably stop the video to point out certain things or to overemphasize things that you know, you see, or if you miss, I will just try to make sure that you don't miss them. So remember, this is a former Austrian foreign minister, lives in Russia nowadays. And Rosenberg, whatever his name, Steve, he's interviewing with her. And he is going to be a weasel. So here is the video. And let's see if I got the sound. Okay, ready, set, and go.
Dancing the Waltz, Vladimir Putin and Kneissl in 2018. Then Austria's foreign minister, she'd invited Russia's president to her wedding. A private visit, strictly. But just a few months after the Salisbury poisonings, which the EU, like the UK, had linked to the Russian state. Now, with her boxer Winston Churchill, Kneissl has moved to Russia to run a think tank. She claims that after leaving office in 2019, back home she struggled to find work because she was seen as too close to Russia.
Our government imploded in May 2019, and I wanted to restart my life as an analyst, as a university teacher, and I had to find out that there was not a single contract left, and that was political pressure. So when you don't have a single contract, it was not really easy to restart. In spring this year, I received the offer by a director of St. Petersburg University whether I would like to run an interdisciplinary institute, and they mentioned what they would like to see in there. And for one night I was doing brainstorming with myself, and I created the name Gorky, which is the acronym for Geopolitical Observatory for Russia's Key Issues.
Do you understand that it is hugely controversial?
There he is, the moralist, the fucking moralist, I must say, Steve Rosenberg. So, this is the same guy who interviewed Lavrov some time ago, and when Lavrov told him, I don't care about your eyes. Interesting video. I highly suggest you watch this interview between this weasel again, right here, very proud of being British citizen, and this monster of foreign policy. And, so I can make the point further, Steve Rosenberg, I'm just, like to look over people's, make sure to see who's who and what's what, okay? Now, I will have here later another strong woman who's going to say something about another controversial individual on this planet, and she's not going to cave into the accusations of you're a bad person. Ready? All right, continue this little weasel.
Observatory for Russia's key issues.
Do you understand that it is hugely controversial for a former Austrian foreign minister to move to Russia at a time when this country has launched an unprovoked full-scale invasion of its neighbour, of Ukraine? Isn't there a danger that by being here you are legitimizing the invasion, the war, and also the domestic repression that takes place in Russia?
Well, so far I have not seen any sort of repression in my immediate surrounding. I can work here in a kind of academic freedom, which I started missing when I was still teaching at various universities inside
But just
the
a few
European
days
Union.
ago, in this city, not far away from this building, a young Russian woman was sent to prison for 7 years for replacing some price tags in a supermarket.
One example, and he's going to generalize it. Listen to the weasel.
Anti-war slogans. There is definitely a wave of repression taking place in Russia.
Yeah,
Definitely a wave of repression in Russia. He mentioned one example. Definitely there is.
so what do I have to do with that? I just explained at length the situation that I've been going through. So let us put it, the whole thing to the other way. Why was Karin Kneissl forbidden to work? Where is my crime?
But do you condemn the invasion?
Sir, if you have seen my interview with your esteemed colleague Stephen Sacker, I answered his interrogation, and I'm not interested in having another interrogation.
Interrogation. I'm not interesting. Back off, you weasel. And this is the interview. There's another interview that with the interrogation again, bashing. I watched this one too.
Asking you whether the Russian invasion
This is garbage, this guy. Watch how Glenn Greenwald smacked this weasel.
is, in your
The
view,
Russian invasion,
entirely
like
illegal.
Any outbreak of war, is a violation of international law. Yes, that I just replied.
It's just that you're now living
yes,
and working
yes, I'm living
in
here,
Russia.
and then I was traveling to Russia, and your esteemed colleague, Mr. Sacker, did this interrogation with me. BBC did it already.
But you're studying the geopolitical situation,
Yes.
right? And you can't look at the geopolitical situation in Europe or the world without focusing on the war in Ukraine. Surely
Yes,
that is,
yes.
which
Well,
has
it's not a
turned the
focus.
world upside down.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that it has turned the world upside down, honestly not. Having written about geopolitics for 25 years, I would say a war that has definitely turned the world upside down is the war in Iraq.
2018,
The war in Iraq. He changes the subject, the fucking weasel. The 2018. No, there was not a war in Iraq in 2018, but you don't pick up on that because you pick and choose whatever fits your narrative.
we had the Salisbury poisonings, right? Then
Poisons. She's gonna smack him.
there's a Russian diplomat.
Highly likely, yeah, to take the British term.
That it was linked to the Russian state, yes.
Highly likely.
So you don't believe that the...
I don't know, I just quote the British authorities, highly likely.
But just a few months after, of course,
See, again, the guy started from a not proven fact, highly likely. He comes and he mentions it as a fact. He thought that she doesn't know that. And she knew about it. What is he gonna do? Weasel his way out. He's gonna do some other stuff. Again, highly likely, she said. To quote the British,
you invited Vladimir Putin to your wedding and you danced with him and you curtsied to him. You understand how controversial that must have been then.
Yeah, by the time I was the foreign minister and by the time I danced with President Putin, but you see, I have done other things in my life before and after, and honestly, it's so boring. Honestly, it's very boring.
To talk about
Yeah.
the wedding.
Yes, yes.
So we should
So
just...
I mean, I think there are other more interesting topics we can discuss, honestly.
You have no
No,
regrets?
I consider it as honestly boring, and the dog just fell asleep and was snoring because he knows the topic.
The dog's not interested. But people are amazed still. I'm not saying that Vladimir Putin is your close friend, but you've met him.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
met him. From your meetings with him, what kind of a person do you think he is?
He is the most intelligent gentleman, with the focus on gentleman, and I met a few. I would say that in the sense of what Jane Austen wrote about the accomplished gentleman in Pride and Prejudice, he amounts to these standards.
This idea of President Putin as a sort of a Jane Austen gentleman might surprise some when you consider what's happened in recent years.
Yes, I stick to this statement. He's the most intelligent and accomplished gentleman I ever met.
I stick to the statement, so she said it twice. And Mr. Rosenberg, what are you going to do next? Disarmed. Totally disarmed.
We're seeing a wave of repression domestically, and we've seen Russia invade Ukraine. It's hard to classify that as a gentlemanly action.
Well, Tony Blair, Cameron, they all were involved with their governments being involved in military actions. Libya, Syria.
Finally, I mean, you say that...
Disarmed again. How about your boys? What are you talking about? Changes the subject, the weasel.
There are people in Austria who've accused you or accuse you of high treason, accuse you of being...
A Russian spy.
A Russian spy. Can you, to an extent, understand?
No, not to an inch. Not even to an inch. I don't understand it. It's just dirty fantasy.
So he tried, this weasel, I'm not done, because I have another one here. He tried to morally disarm her. Are you condemning that? No. Shit, what am I going to do next? Yeah, but you understand, like you're not such an idiot. Remember this example? Cut him off with poisonings. Remember, you call him a gentleman, but he invaded. What about Tony Blair and Cameron? Shit, what should I try next? Disarmed, slapped around. So, let me show you another strong woman, and I definitely recommend this, to look into this, and she's not the only one, but I'm going to use her. I'm not going to play it. It's from YouTube and is about right here. You know this woman? Her name is Winifred Wagner. I don't know if you pronounce it like this. Watch this interview, and not only, it's kind of the same. So she is right here on the bottom, and I also have her on Wikipedia, widow of Siegfried Wagner and daughter-in-law of Richard and Cosima Wagner, about more than Papa. This is excerpts from the 1975 film Papa. They try to make her say blah blah blah. Now, what's the problem with her? So here she is, right? Was an English-born wife of Siegfried Wagner, the son of Richard Wagner, right there, the guy, and ran the Beowulf Festival. After her husband's death in 1930 until the end of World War II in 1945, she was a friend and supporter of this guy right here, Adolf, himself a Wagner enthusiast, and she and this guy maintained a regular correspondence. She never said sorry. On the contrary, she did exactly what the Austrian former foreign minister did. And that is, ich bereue nicht. Karin Kneissl. You know what ich bereue nicht means? I regret nothing. And that is in German. And if you watch the Nuremberg trials, and I watched a lot of that garbage, you're gonna see Rudolf Hess. And Rudolf Hess, when he is He's gonna have his last word. He's gonna say, "Ich bereue nicht," I regret nothing. Right in front of the prosecutors and the judges and the Nuremberg trial. Actually, all right, my friends, here it is. That's the way you do it with weasels. Remember Lavrov as well. Remember Steve Rosenberg. Remember this courageous woman and unapologetic, without any bereue, whatever, Karin Kneissl. And watch the other one that I mentioned before. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed it tremendously. If you don't find this one on YouTube, you're gonna find it on Rumble. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.